Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about how to properly store Peking cabbage at home. This leafy green is a staple in many Asian dishes, but it can be tricky to keep it fresh. In this video, I'll share my tips and tricks for storing Peking cabbage so that it stays crisp and delicious for as long as possible. First, we'll talk about the best way to select Peking cabbage at the store. Then, we'll go over how to prepare it for storage. Finally, I'll share some different storage methods, including how to store Peking cabbage in the refrigerator, freezer, and even at room temperature. So, whether you're a seasoned cook or just starting out, this video is for you. Let's get started. Not all Peking cabbage varieties are created equal when it comes to storage. For long-term storage, you'll want to choose a variety known for its good keeping qualities. Some good options include Napa cabbage. This is the most common type of Peking cabbage and is readily available in most grocery stores. It has a mild flavor and can be stored for several weeks under the right conditions. Chinese cabbage. This variety is similar to Napa cabbage but has a slightly sweeter flavor. It also stores well for several weeks. Wongbok. This variety has a thick, white stalk and dark green leaves. It has a slightly stronger flavor than Napa or Chinese cabbage and can be stored for up to a month. Before you store your Peking cabbage, there are a few things you need to do to prepare it. First, make sure that the cabbage is fresh and free of any damage. Any bruises or cuts will shorten the storage life of the cabbage. Second, remove any loose or wilted leaves. These leaves will quickly rot and can spread the rot to the rest of the cabbage. Finally, wash the cabbage thoroughly with cold water and dry it completely. Once your Peking cabbage is prepared, you need to store it in the right conditions. The ideal temperature for storing Peking cabbage is between 32 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the temperature of most refrigerators, so that's the best place to store your cabbage. If you don't have a refrigerator, you can store the cabbage in a cool, dark place, such as a basement or cellar. However, the cabbage will not last as long in these conditions. In addition to the temperature, you also need to control the humidity when storing Peking cabbage. The ideal humidity level is between 90 and 95%. This will help to keep the cabbage from drying out. You can increase the humidity around the cabbage by wrapping it in a damp cloth or placing it in a plastic bag with a few holes punched in it. The length of time that you can store Peking cabbage will vary depending on the variety, the storage conditions, and how fresh the cabbage was when you bought it. However, in general, you can expect to store Peking cabbage for 2 to 4 weeks in the refrigerator and 1 to 2 weeks in a cool, dark place. The best way to store Peking cabbage is in its original packaging. If you have to remove the cabbage from its packaging, wrap it in a damp cloth or place it in a plastic bag with a few holes punched in it. This will help to keep the cabbage from drying out. Light, humidity, and temperature can all affect the storage life of Peking cabbage. Light can cause the cabbage to turn yellow and wilt. Humidity can cause the cabbage to rot. And temperature can affect the rate at which the cabbage spoils. There are a few different ways to store Peking cabbage in an apartment. The best method for you will depend on the amount of space you have and the temperature of your apartment. Refrigerator. The refrigerator is the best place to store Peking cabbage if you have the space. Wrap the cabbage in a damp cloth or place it in a plastic bag with a few holes punched in it. This will help to keep the cabbage from drying out. Cool, dark place. If you don't have a refrigerator, you can store Peking cabbage in a cool, dark place, such as a pantry or under the sink. However, the cabbage will not last as long in these conditions. Crisper drawer. If your refrigerator has a crisper drawer, this is the ideal place to store Peking cabbage. The crisper drawer is designed to maintain the ideal humidity level for storing vegetables. No matter which method you choose, be sure to check the cabbage regularly for signs of spoilage. If you see any mold or discoloration, discard the cabbage immediately. The best way to store Peking cabbage is in the refrigerator. Wrap it loosely in plastic wrap or place it in a perforated plastic bag. This will help to keep the cabbage fresh and crisp for up to 2 weeks. Peking cabbage can also be frozen, but it will not be as crisp when thawed. To freeze Peking cabbage, chop it into desired pieces and blanch it in boiling water for 2 minutes. Then, plunge it into ice water to stop the cooking process. Drain the cabbage and pack it into freezer-safe bags or containers. Frozen Peking cabbage can be stored for up to 6 months. Peking cabbage can also be dried. To dry Peking cabbage, slice it thinly and then dry it in a dehydrator or oven at a low temperature, around 150 degrees Fahrenheit, until it is brittle. Dried Peking cabbage can be stored in an airtight container in a cool, dark place for up to 6 months. Peking cabbage can also be squashed. To squash Peking cabbage, remove the core and then pound it with a mallet or rolling pin until it is softened. Squashed Peking cabbage can be used in kimchi or other fermented dishes. Peking cabbage can also be stored on the balcony, but it will not last as long as it would in the refrigerator. To store Peking cabbage on the balcony, wrap it in a damp cloth and place it in a cool, shaded spot. There are a few mistakes that people often make when storing Peking cabbage. One mistake is storing it in a plastic bag without any holes. This can cause the cabbage to spoil quickly. Another mistake is storing it in the refrigerator for too long. Peking cabbage will start to lose its flavor and texture after about 2 weeks. Here are a few hints for storing Peking cabbage. Choose a head of cabbage that is firm and free of blemishes. Wash the cabbage before storing it. Wrap the cabbage loosely in plastic wrap or place it in a perforated plastic bag. Store the cabbage in the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks. If you want to freeze the cabbage, blanch it first. Dried Peking cabbage can be stored for up to 6 months. Squashed Peking cabbage can be used in kimchi or other fermented dishes. Peking cabbage can also be stored on the balcony, but it will not last as long as it would in the refrigerator.